WFM 91.7.
A beautiful afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon on The Big Question. I hope that your week has been great and you're looking forward to an amazing weekend, because I am. So hopefully we get to have a great weekend, and by Monday we're feeling good, we're feeling energized too. Get on and face the new week. All right, my name is Rose Yusuf Kaiser, and you're welcome to The Big Question. Now, The Big Question is a program where we get to discuss and provide solutions to issues affecting us as a nation and as citizens. The Big Question comes to you Mondays, Fridays, and Wednesdays at 12:05 p.m. All right, so it's about 8 minutes past 12. To be a part of the program this afternoon, you can do what to call us up on 07000 917 917. Send a text or a WhatsApp message on 070 317 56537. All right, so those are the numbers to get in touch with us today on The Big Question. Now, on The Big Question today, we'll be talking about albinism and a call for inclusion. All right, that's our topic for today, albinism and a call for inclusion. All right, and now, persons with albinism are largely absent from positions that influence decisions affecting their lives, whether in the public and private sector, at the community level, or in regional or international forums. Now, the inclusion of persons with albinism in discussion and spaces can ultimately lead to violations of their human rights. While some progress is being made in some countries in the areas of health, education, and employment, we continue to witness ritual killings of persons with albinism, discrimination, bullying, and attitudinal barriers against them. In addition to all of this, contemporary human rights concerns and policies developed in response to these issues continue to leave persons with albinism behind. Now, if persons with albinism is not included in discussions and decisions, we perpetuate structural discrimination and historic inequalities. Now, there can be no equality without the inclusion of the voices of the most vulnerable. Now, this is why today we are talking about albinism and a call for inclusion. Now, joining me today on the conversation, we have two amazing guests joining me on the conversation this afternoon. We have Ojuri Tolani. Good afternoon, Ojuri. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon.
All right. So it's amazing to have you on the show today. All right, and he is the chairman, Lagos State Chapter of the Albinism Association of Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining us. And then, secondly, we have Jessica Hyacinth. Good afternoon, Jessica.
Hi, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Dr.
Good afternoon.
All right, so Jessica is an albinism advocate. All right, so let's get on to the discussion of the day. Now, I'll start with you, Tolani. There is an increasing awareness and acceptance that persons with albinism should be considered disabled. Why is this? Why do you think people have this perception? Let me start with you, Tolani.
Well, it's sort of a perception. The United Nations and the World Health Program classify persons with albinism as persons with disability. But I've got a question right because of the low, because of the low vision that persons with albinism have.
Okay.
That's why they are classified as persons with a disability. In a lot of countries worldwide, persons with albinism are regarded as legally blind people. So that's just the simple reason why they're classified as persons with disability.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for that, Tonali. Now, Jessica, let's come to you. How does albinism impact a person's life? As an advocate for albinism, how does this impact a person's life?
Okay, so how you impact a person's life? I feel so. Most of for me, the most important thing is knowledge, right?
Yeah.
The problem is that not a lot of people have knowledge. So people that have children with albinism don't have enough knowledge. People with albinism don't have enough knowledge. The society at large don't have enough knowledge. Otherwise, there's literally nothing that Like we basically live normal lives, like what you'd call a normal life.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that people don't know enough. So you go out and you have people, obviously the skin complexion is attractive, so people are constantly staring at you. People are making certain remarks because I believe it's because they don't know better. Most restaurants or public spaces don't have the right facilities to include, people with lower vision. So it's like that might be a struggle.
Okay.
And then, us needing to not constantly be in the sun or be exposed to direct sunlight. Apart from all of these things, you are basically living, we have a unique experience, but you're basically living life the way every other person is living life.
All right. So, how can we make this better then? Because you said people don't know better. Then how do we get to know better? How do we get to create more awareness? As an advocate, what do you think we should do better?
Honestly, I think people should just read, because most of the things that you hear about albinism, like, people with albinism shouldn't eat salt, people with albinism have lower IQ. If people just take the time to just Google instead of assume, just one Google search, and you basically understand that these myths are baseless and literally they make no sense. So if people read more, and if individuals with albinism, and I think that we're playing our part in trying to educate people once in a while, but then it can get confrontational because people are just being demeaning, and I don't think that's the first thing that you'd be thinking about when somebody's trying to insult you. But yeah, if people read more, personally I try to create more content, and I think that other associations and organizations that are doing their best to educate people more. So yeah, I think that's how we can help.
All right, thank you very much, Jessica, for that. Now, this is Women Radio, WFM 91.7, and this is the program The Big Question. And we are talking on albinism and a call for inclusion. This is 15 minutes past 12, and I'm with Ojuri Tolani, the chairman, Lagos State chapter of the Albinism Association of Nigeria. And I have Jessica Hyacinth also, who is an albinism advocate. All right. Now, Tonali, let's come back to you. Now, what's the ratio in inclusion of persons with albinism in Nigeria? And how do we actually, make things better for people with albinism? How do we get to include them, in every aspects of leadership or decision making, even from families too? Because if you want to check from there, most of what we're talking about today could actually start from there. So what's the ratio in terms of inclusion of persons with albinism in Nigeria? Let's hear from you, Tolan.
To ask you for a ratio, if I'm correct, the numbers, I only have the numbers to an extent of persons in my association in Lagos. I can tell you for free that even the federal government does not even have the number of people living in Nigeria.
True.
There are no official figures, and we've not had the national census in the past 16 or 17 years.
Yeah.
So we don't have the figures yet. What we have most of the time are figures from reports that are done in patches. It be figures of reports of stuff that are done in maybe southwest or southeast, and those are patches. What exactly is that? The figures from the WHO is that persons with disability about 3 million. Okay, how many of them are persons with albinism? You don't have the data from that. But however, my association, that's AAN Lagos, had done so much with the Lagos State government in the area of inclusion, in schools, in the education ministry, the coverage primary and secondary schools. Children with albinism are given special attention so that they could sit in front of the class. The teachers give them a bit of extra time so that they could finish up their task in class, either doing exams or doing classwork. Children with albinism are allowed to wear long sleeves uniform because to protect them from the sun. They are allowed to wear the white brimmed hats to protect them from the sun and effects of skin cancer. That the government have done so much on, because even the government have really tried a bit in the area of healthcare, but we've not gotten there yet. But at the same time, we're placing so much emphasis in the area of prevention. And then even at the Lagos State government teaching hospital, that's LASO, at the skin clinic, persons with albinism are encouraged to go in every 90 days to have their skin checked.
Okay.
So that the government had done, and through the Office of Disability Affairs, we tried as much as possible. We had the media tour in May and June. June is World Albinism Day. And just think that the media tour would not just be enough. So now, the association itself would have started going from one motor park to the marketplace, to places of worship, to social gatherings, to explain to people, to really kind of bring the news about albinism, enlighten people on albinism.
Okay.
There's so much more to do. So to the extent of that, apart from the myth, you even go to the medical angle of it. So that when people see a person with albinism in daytime not properly covered up, you can even tell the person, you know what, you have to get yourself properly covered up. So that everybody, society, because the moment one person is down with skin cancer, one person is down with skin cancer, it becomes a community problem. The community has to raise money, the church has to raise money, the school has to raise money. So it is everybody's problem. So that's why the prevention plan will carry everybody along. So why talk about inclusion? Yes, we make every part of the society inclusive for persons with albinism. We have larger prints. We have proper lighting in the bus area on the queue. There's legislation that gives preference on the queue. That is not enough. We are not there yet. We have legislation that covers that, but a lot of people, even some stakeholders, don't even know these provisions of the law. So that is why when we go on our campaign in the society, outside the media space, we try to explain that, we try to enlighten people, because it's not about fighting for your rights per se. It's about even just make sure that people even know what exactly the issue is. Make sure people know what exactly the law is. Then we now get to that level of trying to push it and try to drive the point home. So we have a robust campaign going on, and I believe that over time the society would learn to accept that albinism is much more than just the lack of pigmentation. There's so much more involved. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tolani, for that. But let's still look at, when it comes to political participation, what are the major challenges for people with albinism? What are the major challenges for people or persons with albinism when it comes to political participation?
The challenge for persons with albinism is just the will.
The will.
It's the will. We, at the moment, at this time yesterday, I was still in the same room with INEC, IPAC, and LASIEC, that's the electoral body for Lagos State, and some major stakeholders, trying to encourage persons with disability, and I have to work with persons with albinism, trying to encourage them to take part to take their active space in the political space. There's a program with IPAC, that's that's the body representing all political parties.
Yeah.
That trying to encourage persons with disability, in which persons with albinism is among, that come to the political space, we will support you. Even in the last election, some political parties raised the money for the nomination fee for candidates. Once you are a person with disability, they raise it for you. But they can only do so much. Persons with albinism need definitely to have the will to participate in the political process. They need to have the will and to attend political meetings, the one in their neighborhood, at the state level, at the senatorial level, and the provisions are there. And there's something, there's a limit to which the society can do. The will must come from within. And I always try to make them realize that we can only say so much, but we need to raise people who will be at the policy making level. That will go that will really make a whole lot of difference. So even the barriers in the political space, it is not when until you start testing it, that is when these challenges come to the fore and we can always take care of them. But if everybody sit back, I don't want to get involved in politics, in dirty game, blah, blah, blah. It's not going to work. It's not going to work at all.
So basically, you are saying that it has to be the will from people right now.
Yes, they have to be the will. The political parties have taken a few steps trying to meet them halfway. They need the nomination fee. You have IPAC giving them all the support. The application in which I heard the leadership chapter promise them, once you check, we will give you the backing, we will give you the media backing, we will give you all the, we will give you the platform in which you require. But you, the candidate, have to take the first step.
Okay.
And I know that it is a work in progress.
All right. Thank you very much, Tolani, for that. This is Women Radio 91.7. And, of course, we are on the program, The Big Question. We're talking about albinism and a call for inclusion. My name is Rose Yusuf Kaiser, and it's about 25 minutes past 12 on this amazing Friday afternoon. Do well to dial the number 07000 917 917 to be a part of this conversation, or send a text or a WhatsApp message to 070 317 56537. All right, so Jessica, now let's look at social implications of albinism. What do you think are some of the social implications when it comes to albinism?
I mean, to be clear on that, what do you mean social implications?
All right, like what I mean by social implications, like social gatherings, how people perceive them, when it comes to, socializing with others. So what are some of the implications when it comes to that? Are there some sort of, restraints when it comes to them socializing or putting themselves out there in the social space, and all of that?
Like I said before, it's usually, so typically, here's a rule I typically apply for my own self. When sometimes people are just genuinely not aware, right? So maybe you walk into a group, and then somebody is, maybe they've heard something that, albinism is a cause, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Sometimes these people are open-minded and they're going to say, like, and they're bold. Sometimes they're bold enough to talk about it. So you're like, no, this is not what it is. This is what it is. And that's fine. But then at other times you have people that are just plain rude and demeaning. Personally, obviously, I don't advise anybody to, be around this kind of people.
Okay.
Especially if they are not willing to learn. I would say socially, the impact is depending on the people you're around and how you carry your own self.
Okay.
I will walk into a room and somebody is making me feel small and I'll stay there. Because, yes, people will tend to be mean. People will be rude. And, again, I encourage people to not tolerate that kind of behavior from other people. I won't go to a room and act small or, girls try to hide. And myself, I'm right. And if you don't like it, sorry, that's not my problem. So yeah, I one thing I've noticed though is that people expect other people with albinism to come into a room and start acting all shy and quiet, and they are shocked when you are bold because they're used to just talking and then having other people with albinism maybe keep quiet and not say, especially not call out their bad behaviors. So yeah, when you clear people, they will do better. So please, I encourage you with albinism. Don't take nonsense. Clear people.
Don't take nonsense. We'll all be all right. All right. Thank you very much, Jessica, for that. All right. Tonali, let's come back to you. Now, for this year's awareness, it said that the theme for this year, it says inclusion in strength is the theme. Now, what do you think that inclusion in strength means when it comes to, a country like ours? How far do you think this could take us as a country?
Well, when we decided to domesticate it, and the theme for this year, from last year, from last year's theme, 2022, is like together we make our voices heard. This year, inclusion is strength. We said so much last year, we make so much noise. This year, the inclusion, the stakeholders, the state government has made some provision for persons with albinism. The law is there. In my various pages at different platforms, I told the number of people, my audience, that inclusion is not just enough. The government can do so much. The society can do so much in the way of inclusion. But it's about you. It's about you as a person. The Lagos State government, for instance, can make provisions for the child must sit in front, that must be both protect the hands and the legs, that should be. But the much more lies in the person itself. There has to be willpower. Just like it's about you. It's about you as a person. That has to be renewed from within. And so that's why we are trying to train all our young lads from a very, very tender age. We're training you to know how to talk, how to face the public, how to stand out on your own. Yes, there's the provision, there's inclusion, but at the same time, you yourself have proved yourself at every point in time. So we're moving in the disability space now. We are moving it from the charity.
Hello. All right, we seem to have lost connection there with our guest today. But I'm sure that we have actually gotten one thing, clear this afternoon, that inclusion is definitely needed. And of course, we should be able to carry everyone along when it comes to people living with disability, which people with albinism also, are included. Because at the end of the day, they all have their own challenges. So it's not just on us, but it's on everybody to make sure that we carry everybody along. So our biggest thanks goes to Ojuri Tolani and of course Jessica Hyacinth. Ojuri Tolani is the chairman, Lagos State chapter of the Albinism Association of Nigeria, and Jennifer Hyacinth is the albinism advocate. So a very big special thank you to our guest for today, and of course for you also for joining us on The Big Question. All right, a very big thank you to Chinyere Timothy Crown, and of course for you for being part of the program. My name is Rose Yusuf Kaiser. To have yourselves a wonderful day and a weekend ahead. Join us again on Monday at 12:05. We'll bring you the program The Big Question. Good afternoon.
To sponsor this program, call the number 0816 480 7613.
WFM 91.7.